Hello friends, we are on day 12 of our quick revision batch. That is the last day now. Today we are going to cover chapter 14, that is budget and budgetary control. This is the chapter which we are going to deal with today. In this chapter we will revise types of budgets, then formulas used in functional budgets, the common link used in preparation of functional budget, and fixed and flexible budget. This is the plan for today. Let's begin. First of all, in brief about budget and budgetary control. Budget is a quantitative plan of action for future period. So first of all, budget is a plan of action, and this plan is for a future period. So when you prepare an action plan for future period, then that plan is called budget. But it has to be a quantitative plan of action. It means that plan should tell you in exact quantitative terms what you are going to achieve and when you are going to achieve. Means there has to be a timeline in which you are going to achieve the finite result. So it is not a mere statement of willingness, but it is a quantitative plan of action. Then such a plan of action is budget. For example, for your examination, if you prepare a plan, how many marks to be scored in both the groups together. If you prepare that plan and subject wise, that in paper number 1 I am thinking of scoring so much, paper number 2 so much, paper number 3 so much. So when you prepare this plan, and this is just the marks which you have said, quantitative, and again the plan to back that to back those marks which you want to achieve. So that's to be a plan of action. How many hours you are going to study and how you are going to study to achieve that result. When you prepare such a plan, then it becomes a budget. Anyway, we are talking from commercial entities point of view. Companies generally prepare the profit budget, that in next year, let us say financial year, we are going to achieve so much profit. Now when they say so much profit in so much period, then how you are going to achieve it? Which product you are going to sell, in what quantity, at what selling price, and what will be the cost? So when you prepare the detailed plan of action, it becomes budget. Now budgetary control. A budgetary control is a technique. It's a technique of exercising overall managerial control with the help of budget. So this budget, which was a quantitative plan of action, that budget is used as a tool to exercise overall managerial control of the organization. Then this technique of exercising overall control is called budgetary control. Now you will say, how budget can be used for controlling purpose? My dear friends, it's very simple. When you prepare a future plan of action, then you compare that plan with the actual results. Once that period gets over for which the budget was prepared, then you will compare the actual results with budgeted results, budgeted data, and then you will try to find out which targets we have missed and why we have missed, and what improvement we have to do. And if you keep doing it on a continuous basis, you will see that your actual performance is almost very near to the budgeted or expected performance. So that is why it is a control technique. Like you had made a plan of your studies and you had decided to be in All India rank. But when the result came out, you found that there is no All India rank, and on the contrary, you have failed. So what has gone wrong? What you had planned and what you have achieved? So there is something, so there is a mistake. Anyway, this is just for an example's sake. It will not happen. You will be in All India rank, don't worry. But I'm just telling you for example's sake that something has gone wrong, means your control is weak. Then you'll have to think, do the analysis and see to it that whatever you plan, you will achieve. And if everything is going as per your plan, means everything is in your control. So that is budgetary control technique. Actually, none of the commercially managed organization and professionally managed organization can run without budgetary control. Because unless you give a guidance, unless you set the future targets and aims, how the employees will work to achieve them. So you have to always set the goal and lay down the path. That path to achieve the goals is your plan of action, so that employees can work on that path and implement that plan to achieve the target goals. Therefore, budgetary control is something which you will be experiencing in your real life or post-qualification life for sure. Now, we go for types of budgets. Now I'm just talking from exam point of view. Earlier I talked in general perspective. Now from exam point of view, you are asked to prepare the budgets first of all. From exam point of view, your role is restricted to preparation of budget. It means they will give you the data. Using that data, you will try to formulate or prepare the budget to be implemented by the employees. So your job is restricted to preparation of budget from exam point of view, I am saying. In real life, you will have to do so many other things. Now, what type of budgets are asked in the exam? One type of budget is functional budget. We call it as functional budgets. These are very popular. Like sales budget, means your planned sales for future period. Production budget, how many units you are going to produce, how much raw material you are going to purchase, that is purchase budget. Manpower budget, that is manpower requirement budget, and so on. These are called functional budgets because sales, purchase, manpower, that is HR function, production, these are all different functions of management or functional areas of management. Therefore, these budgets are called as functional budgets. These are very popular. And second type of questions asked are flexible cost budgets. These are just called flexible budgets also, but it is flexible cost budget, where you are asked to calculate the cost at various levels of activities. We will discuss little more about it later on. So when you are asked to calculate the cost at various levels of activities, then it is called flexible cost budget, and these are generally based on your marginal costing principles. It is a very simple question. If it appears flexible cost budget, it's a bonus question you can assume. So let's move ahead with, we'll first talk about functional budgets. Now, as I said, these are very popular questions of functional budgets. To solve these questions of functional budget, first you have to identify the key factor, also known as budget factor. Now, what is this key factor or budget factor? It is the first target which your organization sets, and then to achieve that target, all other plans are prepared. So your key performance parameter is what? And in majority cases in the exam, you will find that starting point of the question or key factor of the question is sales. This I am talking about from majority questions point of view. So from here the budget exercise starts. It means first you will set your sales target and then other targets will automatically follow. So majority cases, 99% cases, you may assume that it is sales. So you have to identify that. Most of the time it is sales. Once you identify this key factor or starting point of the question, then you have to form a linkage between that key factor and other dependent budgets. It means what budgets or which budgets are dependent on that sales budget. Like your production is dependent on sales, then on production your material consumption is dependent, on consumption your material purchase is dependent, then on your production manpower is dependent. So you have to form these linkages because all these budgets are linked with each other. And then only if you, all these people, different departmental heads, when they implement their individual plan, the organization achieves the common goal in a coordinated fashion. That is what is expected. Like without production, how you can sell the goods? It's very simple. And to produce the goods, don't you think you need to consume the raw material? And before you consume the raw material, you have to buy the raw material. Similarly, to complete the production, you will need the manpower. Now, manpower is handled by HR department, material purchase activities handled by purchase manager, production activities handled by production manager, sales activities handled by sales manager. But all their efforts should be coordinated. And budget helps in establishing this coordination between different departments so that organization moves on a common path to achieve the common goal. Anyway, in short, one, you have to identify that starting point, which is sales, you can take it from me, and then you have to form the linkages. And that is how the budget gets developed slowly, step by step by forming the linkage. We will see the imaginary data also. Before that, we'll discuss two important formulas. One, for finished goods. We have to use these formulas in preparation of your functional budgets. Finished goods. Please remember, I am talking about finished goods now. Suppose you have some opening stock of finished goods. Then you have produced some more finished goods, like you have 10,000 units of opening stock of finished goods. You have produced 1 lakh units more of finished goods, minus you have sold, let us say, 80,000 units of finished goods. So what will be the closing stock naturally? 30,000, correct? Now this is a simple logical formula. Opening plus production of finished goods minus sale of finished goods is equal to closing stock. Now we'll reshuffle this formula slightly. I will shift sales to this side, so it will become plus. I will shift opening stock to this side, so it will become minus. So you'll get the formula production is equal to sales plus closing stock minus opening stock. This is the formula which we derive. This is an important formula. Production is equal to sales plus closing stock minus opening stock. Now you don't have to remember this. This is a very logical formula which you can prepare. This formula will be used in preparation of functional budget. Second formula is for raw material. Raw material. Now again we will see the common formula or logical formula of raw material. See, opening stock of raw material. Now I am talking about raw material, my dear friends, not finished goods. Opening stock of raw material plus purchase of raw material. Opening plus purchase means total quantity available of raw material minus consumed. Please remember, raw material is meant for consumption to manufacture finished goods. So opening plus purchase minus consumption is equal to closing stock of raw material. This is the logical formula. Again, this formula we will reshuffle. I'll keep purchase here, but I'll shift all other things. So I will get consumption, I will shift here. So I'll get consumption plus closing stock and minus opening stock will be equal to purchase. So I'll get the formula of purchase, which is an important formula. Purchase is equal to consumption plus closing stock and minus opening stock. This is the formula for raw material. And please remember, this consumption depends on production. Naturally, production is of finished goods, consumption is of raw material. Now, if you are able to see the link between this, from sales you can derive production. From production you can derive raw material consumption. From raw material consumption you can derive the quantity of raw material purchase. Correct? This is the link you should be able to visualize. So let us use that common link. This is the most common link with which you can solve maximum questions of functional budgets, right? Let us say it starts with sales. Now I will take an imaginary example of a car manufacturing company, and they are preparing the budget for, let us say, next month. It's a monthly budget, let us assume. So the sales manager has planned that he is planning to sell 10,000 cars in the next month. So this is the first budget which the sales manager will prepare. That next month I am planning to sell 10,000 cars. So this is called as key factor or starting point of the question. So from here the budget exercise starts. Now this sales budget is to be converted into production budget. We have just now seen the formula. Using that formula you will prepare production budget. Like 10,000 car you want to sell. At the same time, the management has decided that closing stock of cars, that is closing inventory, should be, let us say, 2,000. 2,000 cars should be closing stock. So sales plus closing stock. 10,000 cars are required for sale, 2,000 for stock. It means you need 12,000 cars. Out of 12,000 cars, let us say minus 1,000 cars is already in the opening stock with you. You already have a stock of 1,000 cars. So out of 12,000 you already have 1,000 cars with you as an opening stock. Then how much you have to produce? 11,000. So 11,000 cars is your production budget. That is the same formula which we discussed. Sales plus closing stock minus opening stock. So you'll get the production budget. That is 11,000 cars you have to produce. Now from production budget we will link raw material consumption budget. Now actually to manufacture car you need hundreds of varieties of input components and material. So in real life it will be a very big budget, but I will take only one component required for car manufacturing, that is tire. I am just taking one component, tires, which you buy from tire manufacturing companies. Now one car requires how many tires? To manufacture one car, how many tires we need? So you may say 4, but I think we will need 5 tires because 4 are fixed in the wheels. Fixed to the wheels, and one tire that is called stepney, which is kept in the boot, right, which is kept in the dicky. So to manufacture one car we will need 5 tires. Now it means to produce 11,000 cars, 11,000 cars into 5 tires per car will have to consume 55,000 tires. So 55,000 tires is your consumption budget, which we derived from production budget. Just you have to check the link. Now from consumption budget I will go to purchase budget. If you want to consume 55,000 tires, then you have to buy the tires also. So I'll do two stock adjustments. Let us say 55,000 tires will be consumed, plus you want to keep a closing stock of 15,000 tires at the end of the month. This is your closing stock of 15,000 tires. It means 55,000 will get consumed, plus stock should remain 15,000. It means total tires required are 70,000, right? 55 plus 15 is 70,000. But you already have an opening inventory or opening stock of 10,000 tires. That is opening stock. So 70,000 minus 10,000, it means you'll have to purchase 60,000 tires. So purchase manager should buy 60,000 tires in a month, out of which 55,000 tires will get consumed to produce 11,000 cars, and you will be finally selling 10,000 cars to earn profit. So this is how it is linked with each other. Now I will link production budget with manpower budget, that is manpower requirement budget, let us say. Now as we are preparing the budget for a month, right, we will calculate the number of hours and number of persons required to manufacture. For example, in 1 month there are 25 working days. Let us assume in 1 month there are 25 working days, and each day is of 8 hours. So 8 hours are working hours in a day. So 25 days in a month into 8 hours per day. It means approximately 200 hours one person will work. So one worker will work for 200 hours in a month. Okay. Now let us assume that one car requires 60 clock hours. One car requires 60 clock hours to manufacture. Then how many total hours you will need? Just calculate. I will also bring the calculator, right? Because we'll have to do the calculation ahead. Yes, friends. So I'm saying that one car requires around 60,000 clock hours. So 11,000 cars to be produced into 60, right? 11,000 into 60 can be done orally also, but just for accuracy purpose I am also doing on the calculator. So 6,60,000 hours of manpower will be required, and one worker works for how many hours? 200 hours in a month. So 6,60,000 divided by 200, you will get around 3,300 workers. 3,300 workers will be required. So your manpower budget is ready, which is useful for whom? To your HR manager, human resource department. So they will arrange for suitable manpower. So manpower requirement, manpower is one of the resource which is dependent on your production. So this is how you have to do the linking. And now I'm deleting all this. All this will finally get linked to master budget. Like, first of all, what is master budget? Master budget is your budgeted profit and loss account, budgeted cash flow statement, budgeted balance sheet. These are called master budgets. It means ultimate monetary result of all budgets is called master budget. Now from sales budget, you will transfer the figure of revenue. From production budget, you will transfer the figure of production cost. From purchase budget, you will come to know how much payment is to be made to the suppliers. From manpower budget, you will come to know how much payment is to be made to the workers. So workers, right, material and other cost. So all this budgets will give some figures or provide some figures to the master budget, and you will get the budgeted profitability statement of an organization. So that is the end result called master budget. Now in the exam, you may be asked to just prepare the sales budget, or sales plus production budget, or sales plus production plus consumption plus purchase budget plus manpower budget, and so on. Or sometimes they will give you the sales budget ready made and they'll ask you the remaining budget. So this is the way you can proceed from the exam point of view, from start to finish. So our starting point was sales and ending point could be master budget or individual functional budgets. Now we discuss the fixed and flexible budget. Sometimes a short note question is also asked on fixed and flexible budget. Fixed budget is the cost budget prepared at a fixed level of activity. Please remember, fixed budget doesn't mean fixed cost budget. The word fixed is here fixed level of activity. For example, if you are preparing a cost budget for a production of 10,000 units, you are planning to produce 10,000 units and you are trying to calculate how much cost I will incur for 10,000 units. Now 10,000 units is one activity, that is fixed level of activity for which you are calculating the cost. Then it is called fixed budget. Then what is flexible budget? Flexible budget is again the cost budget, right? It is again the cost budget, but it is prepared at multiple levels of activities. It is the cost budget prepared at multiple levels of activities. For example, if you are preparing the cost budget for 10,000 units, 11,000 units, 12,000, 13,000 and so on, which you are preparing the budget at a multiple level of activity, then such budget is called flexible budget. That is the only difference between fixed budget and flexible budget. Both are cost budgets. When budget is prepared at a fixed level of activity, it is called fixed budget. When the cost budget is prepared for multiple levels of activities, it is called flexible budget. So sometimes they ask you a short note about it, or sometimes they may ask you a question to prepare a flexible cost budget. Now, for preparation of these cost budgets, is fixed or flexible, either or, what we need to do? We need to identify the behavior of cost, which we had seen in marginal costing, that is CVP analysis. You have to identify the behavior of cost, which cost is variable, which is semi-variable and which is fixed. So it means cost will be classified first into variable, fixed and semi-variable cost using your marginal costing principles. So you'll have to basically apply marginal costing for preparation of fixed and flexible budgets. So first identify the behavior of cost, and then once the nature of cost is identified, then preparation of cost budget at multiple levels of activities become very easy, right? How it becomes very easy to prepare the cost budget at multiple levels of activities? For example, your variable cost is 10 per unit. So 10 per unit into 10,000 units, 10 per unit into 11,000 units, 10 per unit into 12,000 units, because variable cost per unit will remain constant. So per unit into number of units, you can calculate variable cost at all levels of activities or multiple levels of activities. Fixed cost will remain constant irrespective of level of activity. So total fixed cost you will write same for any number of units produced. And semi-variable cost, again you will split in two parts, one portion variable and one fixed. And if you add both of them, variable plus fixed portion, you will get the semi-variable cost at multiple levels of activities. So this is how you can calculate the cost at all the levels of activities. Just take the total of cost and your flexible cost budget is ready. So it is so simple. As I said, it is a bonus question. Now friends, this is what I wanted to discuss in budget, but as it is a concluding session now, I would like to discuss few more points with you as a concluding note. First of all, this quick revision batch is specially designed for the students of my regular batch. Right? It may be useful to you to revise the subject a day before the exam. Anyway, any student can use it, that is a different story, but those who have studied with me in the regular batch, they are habituated or accustomed to my way of teaching. So it will be more useful to my regular batch students. Anyone is welcome to use. If it is of their use, I would be happy. Now please develop a habit of careful reading and interpretation of question for this subject at least. Now what I have seen at intermediate level is majority students default here. First of all, they are in so much hurry to read the question, or they are so much in a hurry to solve the question without careful reading and interpreting the question, that the answer is definitely going to go wrong because you have not understood the question fully. So I would once again repeat and request to you, for this subject you have to develop the habit of careful reading, right? You have to read very carefully whether the data is per unit, per hour, per month, per quarter, and at few places you'll have to interpret it properly. See, whenever the data is given in percentage, it could be percentage of input or it could be percentage of output, or when profit percentage is given, sometimes it is given percentage of cost, sometimes it is given percentage of sales. So you have to read it very carefully, interpret it very carefully. Then only your answer will be correct. So give sufficient time for reading and interpreting the question. This is one of the major area where students go wrong. Then please solve the questions independently to gain the self-confidence, right? You may even solve the past exam papers of ICAI with time limit. This is another important point. Solve the questions independently, please remember. What I've seen, students, they just try to copy the answer which is given by the teachers, right? If you're just copying the answer, it means you are not applying your own mind. On the contrary, I would suggest you that whatever questions we have solved in the regular batch, you try to solve them independently again at home. Independent solving of question is very important. Why? To gain your own confidence. If you are able to solve the question correctly, naturally your confidence level will go up. And naturally, if you are unable to solve the question correctly, you will come to know at least where the mistakes are committed by you. Those mistakes can be rectified. And you have to keep working till the time you keep getting the correct answers. You already have the answer in your notebook. Try to tally that answer. But this is very important. If you just keep watching the lectures without solving it independently, naturally you will not be able to survive in the exam hall. So you have to develop that knack of solving the question independently. And for that, what you can do, you can even solve the past exam papers of ICAI by setting the time limit. You have to set the clock, right, alarm clock of 3 hours, and then sit for the paper and do it in one stroke, not in installments, because in the exam hall you'll have to do it in one sitting in 3 hours. And these past exam papers and their solutions are available on the website of the institute. Even institute uploads the model test papers on the website along with the answers. You have got revisionary test papers which are uploaded by institute on the website. So you have a lot of material available there on the website, or you can join paid test series if you want to and if you can afford to. But then do the self testing before the exam. That will improve your confidence and you'll come to know where the errors are committed. Please remember. So this is also very important. Now, if the time duration of your regular product has expired, some of the students who had purchased the regular product and it has expired because you have skipped the attempt, or probably you could not clear in the first or second attempt, or all the views have expired, the views which we provide with each product have expired. You have already viewed these lectures, right? So either the duration has expired or views has expired. It means your product is not working now. Then you may get it renewed. We are providing a renewal option to you at a very nominal cost, but from our website. Our website is this at the bottom, www.carakeshagarwal.in. If you visit the website, right, if you visit that website, you'll find the key renewal options, right, or product renewal options, right. You have to exercise those options and get that key renewed if your product has expired or duration has expired. Is that clear? First of all, we provide this key renewal option at a nominal price, so your key can be renewed. Actually, we provide two types of options if you visit the website. One is 3 days key renewal. This 3 days key renewal is for those students who want to revise the syllabus just a day before the exam. So if you want to revise from your regular product, right, regular batch where we solve all the questions and we discuss the theory in detail. So if you want that to be renewed, if you want to watch it only for a few days, there is a 3-day key renewal option, or there is a 1 month key renewal option also. 1 month key renewal option. Now, if someone wants to watch it for 2 months, then you can buy 2 quantity. That 1 month key renewal option, you can increase the quantity. 2 quantity means 2 month renewal. 3 quantity of 1 month renewal batch means 3 month renewal. I'm just giving you this as an information. But I pray to God that you get through your attempt in your first attempt and you don't have to renew the product. That is what I wish to. But in case if required, you don't have to buy the whole product again, and the product will work on your same system with same password. Now please preserve your notes and notebooks. These printed notes which we have provided you in the regular batch and your notebook where you have the answer. Please preserve it. It will be useful for CA final also, because CA final costing is connected with your intermediate background. Intermediate costing is your foundation on which you will build the story of your CA final. So please don't throw it or don't discard your notes and notebook if you want to pass CA final. That is my friendly advice to you. Now one thing you might have noticed, my dear friends, you might have noticed that I have not allowed any advertisements in these video lectures. In technical language it is called monetization. So I have put my monetization off, right? I have told my technical team not to monetize these videos, but to allow it as it is without any advertisement, because in my opinion advertisement will cause irritation. These YouTube people, then they will insert the advertisement. Sometimes they insert irrelevant advertisement also in the beginning, sometimes in the middle also. It is not in our hands. once we give them the authority to do the monetization, they will put any advertisement anywhere. Now, as far as learning or teaching is concerned, I'm having a different opinion or view, and therefore, just not to cause irritation to you, I have kept that monetization off. I have not allowed, so you can view these quick revision lectures without any interruption, without any irritation. And friends, I will try to conclude this batch again with that Hindi poem. Most of you would have listened to that poem in the regular batch in the last lecture. In case if you have missed out for any reason, I am repeating that Hindi poem, motivating poem again to conclude the batch. The Hindi poem is of Harivansh Rai Bachchan, who was a poet. हरिवंश राय बच्चन की कविता है, यानी अमिताभ बच्चन के पिताजी. हार नहीं होती, ये कविता का शीर्षक है. कि लहरों से डरकर नौका पार नहीं होती, कोशिश करने वालों की कभी हार नहीं होती. लहरों से डरकर नौका पार नहीं होती, कोशिश करने वालों की कभी हार नहीं होती. नन्ही चींटी जब दाना लेकर चलती है, चढ़ती दीवारों पर 100 बार फिसलती है. मन का उत्साह रगों में साहस भरता है, चढ़कर गिरना गिरकर चढ़ना न अखरता है. आखिर उसकी मेहनत बेकार नहीं होती, कोशिश करने वालों की कभी हार नहीं होती. डुबकियां सिंधु में गोताखोर लगाता है, सिंधु में यानी सागर में. डुबकियां सिंधु में गोताखोर लगाता है, जा जाकर खाली हाथ लौटकर आता है. मिलते न सहज ही मोती गहरे पानी में, बढ़ता दूना उत्साह इसी हैरानी में. मुट्ठी उसकी खाली हर बार नहीं होती, कोशिश करने वालों की कभी हार नहीं होती. असफलता एक चुनौती है, स्वीकार करो. इंग्लिश में कहते हैं फेलियर इज द फर्स्ट स्टेप ऑफ सक्सेस. असफलता एक चुनौती है, स्वीकार करो. क्या कमी रह गई देखो और सुधार करो. इसमें वेरिएंस एनालिसिस है. क्या कमी रह गई देखो और सुधार करो. सो असफलता एक चुनौती है, स्वीकार करो. क्या कमी रह गई देखो और सुधार करो. जब तक सफल न हो नींद चैन की त्यागो तुम, संघर्षों का मैदान छोड़ मत भागो तुम. कुछ किए बिना ही जय जयकार नहीं होती, कोशिश करने वालों की कभी हार नहीं होती. कोशिश करने वालों की कभी हार नहीं होती. ओके फ्रेंड्स, धन्यवाद. So this completes our quick revision batch. I hope it will be useful to you and you have enjoyed it. Thank you and wish you best luck for your exams. Okay, bye bye friends.